Thank you for checking out this video on Minnesota paid leave prepared by University of Minnesota Extension Agricultural Business Management Team. Each video in this series is geared toward farmers who employ others, producers who are self-employed, or those who work for someone other than themselves in production agriculture. We sincerely hope these resources are valuable to you and useful in your farm or agricultural business. These resources have been developed in conjunction with staff at the Minnesota Department of Employment and Economic Development on the Minnesota Paid Leave Program. Welcome to today's video on walking through the process for agricultural employers to establish a Minnesota Paid Leave account. This program officially launched on January 1st, 2026, and we are providing essential information so those in Minnesota's agricultural community who employ others better understand how to register correctly for an account to remain in compliance with this new law. We are the Agricultural Business Management Team at University of Minnesota Extension. This educational effort is funded through a grant by the Minnesota Paid Leave Program, which is a division of the Minnesota Department of Employment and Economic Development. So let's get into the nuts and bolts of establishing your employer account with Minnesota Paid Leave. Minnesota is the 13th state to implement a paid leave program. However, unlike some other states that require a year of pre-funding, Minnesota's program wasn't set up to do that. Instead, at the same time, both premium collections begin by employers and paid time off benefits are available to employees on January 1st, 2026. If you have W-2 employees, they are likely covered by the Minnesota Paid Leave Program, even if they are not covered by unemployment insurance. The program uses the unemployment insurance system to capture the premiums, but because many of you are not required to pay into unemployment insurance, you cannot simply use the existing unemployment insurance portal. You must follow a specific path to register a paid leave only account. There are two types of employer accounts with Minnesota Paid Leave, and they are both in the unemployment insurance system. The standard joint account is for employers already paying into unemployment insurance. So those employers manage both unemployment insurance and paid leave together. However, agricultural employers who are legally exempt from unemployment insurance must register for a paid leave only account. This specific path allows you to report wages and pay premiums without accidentally triggering unemployment insurance tax liability. And please note that most agricultural employers are exempt from filing quarterly unemployment insurance reports, so this applies to most of you listening to this video. So before you begin, gather these 4 items that are listed on the screen. You will need your 9-digit federal employer identification number. This could be your Social Security number if you operate as an individual, which is commonly called a sole proprietor. You'll need your legal entity subtype. And some examples of that could be an LLC or an S corporation. If you need to contact your tax advisor to find out your legal entity, do that before you start. And then you'll need the exact date you first paid wages in Minnesota. This likely could be years and years ago. So if you don't know the exact date, just be as accurate as possible with your estimate. And then lastly, you will need your total W-2 employee count. Anyone who is a W-2 employee, even a spouse who gets a W-2 wage, or an employee who only works for you during planting and harvest time, or in the example of a township, this could be a township supervisor who does get a very small but still a W-2 wage, should be counted. So those are all some examples of W-2 employees. In your registration for this paid leave only account, you'll need to gather up these materials and have them ready to establish your account. So to establish your paid leave only account, the website you need to go to is listed on the screen, and it is www.uimn.org/employers. All registration is hosted within this existing Minnesota Unemployment Insurance Joint System. So these are the steps that you'll follow. Under the I Need To tab, select Register for an Account, and then click Employers. Remember, even though paid leave is a separate program, this is the portal the state uses for all wage reporting. During registration, you will enter your federal employer identification number, and you will select your primary legal structure. You can see them listed here in this drop-down box. This is what it will look like. I mean, there's some examples, LLC or S corporation or sole proprietor, and they're in this drop-down menu. So just a warning, the system does not allow you to change this selection once the registration process is fully completed. So make sure your entity type matches your IRS filing. And then step 3 is perhaps the most critical step for your farm. When prompted for your business type, you must select agricultural employment, and it has a parentheses AG behind it. By choosing the specific industry code of agricultural employment, it signals to the system that you operate under the different regulatory requirements for agriculture, which is different than standard commercial businesses, and it alters the questions you will be asked after this step. So step 4, the system will ask you if you meet the unemployment insurance thresholds. So those are things such as paying 10 employees for 20 weeks or reaching $20,000 in a calendar quarter for cash wages. If you do not meet these thresholds but have W-2 employees, the system will automatically route you to establish the paid leave only account. And it could be that you don't meet any of the criteria listed, and in that case, select none of the above. So step 5 is where you will confirm if you have already paid wages in Minnesota, and then you provide that date. So remember, this could be years back, and so you remember just estimate the best date you can and be as accurate as possible. A note, if you exit before finishing this step, make sure to click save. If you get interrupted for some reason, always click save, and then you will get a temporary ID and password, but you do need to wait until you get the permanent user ID. And once you finish this whole process, you will get a permanent user ID delivered to you via postal mail. And then that's when you can access fully the functionality, like making premium payments and things. Once you've registered for the paid leave only account, you must designate a paid leave administrator. So this person, it can be you or an employee or your bookkeeper. This person is the primary contact for reviewing employee claims and state paid leave determinations. You assign this role by logging in and navigating to paid leave information. And once you have finished this step designating your paid leave administrator, please note that the system access for a new administrator may take 1 full business day to activate. One last step is to determine your premium liability. Using the year 2026 rates, the baseline premium rate is 0.88% of wages. So typically, employers choose to split this 50-50 between the employer and the employee. So you'll see that listed on the first line, that 0.88%, and then it shows the employer share of 0.44% and the employee deduction maximum of 0.44% of wages. However, small employers with fewer than 30 employees and average wages at or below 150% of the state average do qualify for a reduced employer rate of 0.66%. So please note that the employee share remains the same. So you'll see on that bottom line, the gray line, that the small employer percentage is 0.66 of wages. That means that the employer share, you could pay up 0.22% of wages, and the max employee deduction still sits at 0.44%. So keep that in mind. You do need to wait, though, until the state has notified you that you are a small employer before you can begin premiums at the 0.66% level. There are tax implications to think about. Normally, the employer's 50% share is an excise tax and is excluded from the employee's taxable wages in their W-2. So that's going to be the normal situation. However, if you choose to voluntarily pay the employee's portion, known as the employer pickup, that amount is considered additional compensation and must be included in the employee's taxable wages in box 1 only. The gross up, this is called the gross up, and the gross up is not included for boxes 3 and 5. Please note that for non-agricultural labor, the grossed up wages are reported in W-2 boxes 1, 3, and 5. So that's for non-agricultural labor. The gross up formula is different for non-ag labor. And we are developing a fact sheet on this to help employers better understand grossed up wages. So that's how to create your Minnesota Paid Leave Only account and designate your administrator. Beyond that, remember that you have 3 main duties as an employer. You need to post the official workforce notice in a prominent place at your farm or place of employment. You need to provide individualized notices to your workers about the program. And you need to understand and respect the job protections that go along with this program. Employees with at least 90 days of service are entitled to job restoration after a leave. Also, if you offer group insurance, you must also maintain their group insurance premiums during their absence. Once your account is active, your primary duty is submitting quarterly wage detail reports. This is due at the end of the month following the end of the quarter. So, for example, the first quarter of the year, January, February, March, it's due by April 30th, and so on. If you have registered in this system with a paid leave only account, but haven't yet paid wages in that quarter, maybe you're not paying W-2 employees until planting season, you should still file a report with 0 wages paid. So each quarter, you should still file a report even if you didn't have any wages to report. If you need additional help or need information from the Paid Leave Center, there is a customer service line that's available Monday through Friday. You can find FAQs and program updates on this website called pl.mn.gov. And the customer service number is available Monday through Friday, and that phone number is 651-296-6141. They are very responsive and have answers for lots of questions. We're the Agricultural Business Management Team at University of Minnesota Extension. You can reach us at abm@umn.edu. That's an email address, abm@umn.edu. And we also are placing resources specifically about agriculture and the paid leave law at this website, z.umn.edu/farm paid leave. Thanks for watching today's video, and we appreciate your interest. Thank you for watching this production from the Extension Agricultural Business Management Team on Minnesota Paid Leave for Agriculture. Our team is releasing various videos, and if you have a question that we should investigate on this topic or have further questions, please reach out to us at our email address, abm@umn.edu. Thanks for checking out this video.